Everyone, Harith Iskandar here. Have you ever bought anything that's fake? Like a fake Rolex or a fake LV bag? You have? Of course you have. We're Malaysians. That's silly too. When you buy something fake, you're actually participating in what's called the black market or the shadow economy. And when I say black market, you're thinking, oh, like illegal drugs, and prostitution, and illegal cigarettes, and illegal alcohol. Now, as law abiding citizens, you have that reaction because you know that's against the law. But then you might say, Ala Harith, buying a fake LV bag is not like buying heroin. Heroin will kill you, right? Yeah, buying a fake LV bag might not kill you, but it might do some damage further down the line, specifically when it comes to the perception of Malaysia. And I'll get to that point in a moment. Now, we know it's wrong. We intrinsically we know it's wrong. But why are so many people okay with the idea of buying something fake? Well, that depends on your moral and your beliefs, right? Your ethical beliefs. If you think that buying a fake bag of someone in Bukit Bintang is a victimless crime, that means you're okay with the black market on fake designer goods. That doesn't mean you're a heroin addict. Similarly, if you're a smoker and you think that the tax on cigarettes is too high, you might be happy to buy cheap illegal cigarettes. And by the way, speaking of cigarettes, do you know that Malaysia, we are the champions? Malaysia ranks number one globally for trading in illegal cigarettes, close to 60%, which means 6 out of every 10 packets of cigarettes sold in Malaysia is illegal. Do you know who is in second place? Brazil at 50%. I'm not making this up. This is actually in the Oxford Economics report that's titled The Economics of the Illicit Tobacco Trade in Malaysia. We are number one. We could never beat Brazil in football, but when we meet a Brazilian, we like, brother, illegal cigarettes, champion brother. Now, why is this possible? Very simply put, it's the demand. And it makes sense. After all, why would you need to buy something at a higher price when you can get something that looks like it or seems exactly like it at a lower price, right? So, since there's demand, there's the supply. And that's why we are number one, at least in illegal cigarettes. Are we proud of this? The debate is up to you. But it's not just cigarettes that I'm talking about here. The FOMCA, Federation of Malaysian Consumer Association, reports that the black market deals in so many different things, including everyday items like appliances, foodstuff, medicines, cosmetics, automotive parts, even airplane parts. Can you imagine getting in a plane and wondering if the wing parts are not original? Not so funny, right? I just read online about fake eggs and rice coming out of China. Immediately, I had the perception: don't eat anything when you're in China. It's going to be fake. Is that true of all of China? No, of course it's not. It's just perception. Now, if I was to ask you, if you're doing business, what country would you do business in? What country would you invest in? How about Nigeria? And you'd be like, oh, Nigeria, cannot, brother. Nigeria, all scam, brother. Scam. We have gotten so used to the perception of what Nigeria means. Most of you who've answered no, not Nigeria, have never even stepped foot in Nigeria. But you have a perception of it. You don't have proof. You just have a perception. And a perception is all you need. Now, can you imagine a bunch of foreigners overseas talking about where to invest in after the pandemic? And someone says to them, how about Malaysia? And they go, oh, Malaysia, no, they are number one in illegal cigarettes, which, by the way, is a fact. But also, there's so many fake things coming out of Malaysia, including gloves, and which is also true because in Malaysia, we are the number one exporter of rubber gloves. And when the pandemic hit, rubber gloves is in high demand, and then people here got caught wind of it, started repacking used gloves, putting it into fake boxes and all, and then exporting it to other countries. When they open it up, they see gloves made in Malaysia, they think they're going to get something good. Boom, fake rubber gloves. This is a true story told to me, and since there was so much demand, this began to happen, and soon Malaysia is going to lose its reputation of quality. Don't talk about anything else, of quality rubber gloves coming out of Malaysia. Do you want this conversation happening overseas? Now, If you're a normal Malaysian and you're law abiding and you want to see Malaysia do good, you'd be like, no, Malaysia's not like that. Yeah, we know Malaysia's not like that, but we're talking about perception. Just like not all Nigerians are con men, all right? Not all eggs in China are fake. So what is made in Malaysia going to mean in the future? That's up to you and me. If you want to be part of a Malaysia that's going to be shunned by the rest of the world, then you continue doing what you're doing. But I just want to ask you, the next time you come across something fake. Now, I don't expect with one video to change everyone's perception. Well, I'm not going to buy fake stuff anymore. That's not going to happen. Let's face it. But just take a moment to reflect how this is contributing to the damage of Malaysia. And don't even get me started on the loss in taxes and revenue, which is in the amount of billions. We're talking about billions, and I'm not going to talk about it because even I don't understand it. I'm just talking about perception. Do you want to be part of a Malaysia that is perceived to be the king in overseas, the king of illegal products? Not me. When the borders open, I don't want to go overseas, put my passport across the counter and have the person go, oh, you're from Malaysia. Have you got any fake cigarettes? How about some gloves? I'm Harith Iskander. You make the choice. Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when the thing come true? What's up, everybody? Assalamualaikum. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's Harith Iskander. Yes, it's me. Welcome to the show. Oh, like it? It's my black market look. I'm trying to look bad. Did it work? I don't know. Probably not, because I got this face. Doesn't help. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, everyone. As usual, this is another episode of What's Going On Malaysia. And first of all, as usual, I just want to let you know how grateful I am that you are watching the show, even if you're watching it after it's live. So if you're watching it live, awesome. Thank you. I've just seen so many comments there. Kalpana Govidan says, good evening to you. I know Janaki Raman says, hi, boss. What's up? I'm not really your boss, not even your boss, Koo, but Aznil says, you've missed the previous shows, but you're back. Muhammad Aznil, thank you for coming back. Guys, this is an interactive show. Hari Nesh Haran says, hello, Harith. Hello to you, Hari Nesh. I know everyone is watching from all over the place. Salam Sajata to Lim. We've got people watching from Singapore. I saw someone commenting earlier from Singapore. Palani, yes, from Singapore. Everyone, thank you so much for watching What's Going On Malaysia. My name is Harith Iskander, and this is another episode where we are going to go into some very dark regions of not just our mind, but of the economy, of society, and eventually it all comes back to Malaysia and how Malaysia is perceived in the rest of the world. Of course, I am talking about the black market shadow economy. And with that, before I begin, please, if you are watching this live, if you are watching this after the fact, if you are listening to this on the What's Going On podcast, because that is also what is available right now, please take between 5 to 20 seconds to share this podcast /live/recorded video on clip on Facebook and YouTube. Please share it right now if you're watching on Facebook.
If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe, number one, to the Harith Iskander Comedy channel. And also, you know, click share and share it on all your WhatsApp groups, because I know you're all members of 1,000 WhatsApp groups. If you're listening to this on a podcast, once again, thank you so much. And please share it, because I tell you, tonight's episode, we're going to be dealing with a topic which not many people would know much about, and we are going to learn so much about it from my distinguished guest, who I'm going to bring into the studio right now. By the way, guys, I just want to say something. I Earlier on today, I posted a clip about the black market shadow economy, and I have to say something. The people who have been commenting on the clip have been leaving paragraphs and paragraphs of comments with their opinions, with their thoughts, with their ideas on the black market shadow economy, which only goes to show that this topic is actually on the minds of a lot of people. In fact, one person actually commented on Instagram that, "Hey, Harith, thank you so much for this." It actually made this person consider what they're doing when they buy fake, illicit, or contraband goods. So, what does illicit, contraband, illegal, black market economy, shadow economy mean? Let me tell you what it means. I'm not going to tell you what it means. I'm going to let my guest do that for you, because the gentleman I'm about to bring into the studio right now is an economics analyst. He's a data specialist. He has spent a considerable amount of time studying the black market and shadow economy. And to those of you who are still asking, yeah, what does that mean? What does that mean? You know what? Wait no longer. Step one, share this live streaming, share this recorded streaming, share this podcast as I bring into the studio my esteemed guest. He's a columnist, he's a well renowned economics analyst. I don't even know whether I said that correctly. Economics analyst, economics. I have certain words that I stumble over. One of it is economics. Okay. And when you combine economics with analyst, my lips and my tongue go to another country. Please welcome into the studio Pankaj Kumar. How are you, sir? Good evening.
Good evening, Harith, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Good evening. Perhaps, Pankaj, maybe you can speak a little bit louder, or just bring that microphone
Ah,
a little bit closer up to
okay. Is it
your.
better now?
A little bit better now. Thank you
Okay.
so much. First of all, thank you very much for being on the show. Thank you very much for agreeing to spend this time with us. It is a topic that only recently I have begun to think more about and begun to explore more about. And tonight, I hope to really uh, get the whole picture, get the complete picture on what is black market and shadow economy. So, first of all, can you spend 45 seconds to a minute explaining a little bit about yourself and why you are a person who is qualified to speak about the black market and shadow economy. Just take a while to introduce yourself to the listeners here.
Yeah, thanks, Harith. First of all, of course, my background basically is finance. Yeah, and I've been head of research before, as well as the chief investment officer, overseeing the market, looking at industries, looking at tobacco companies and all that. And since I've retired about 3 years ago, I started another journey where I actually analyze economic data. I talk about the stock market. I look at numbers, and one of the things that I fumbled upon was talking about the illegal market in Malaysia, which has really grown over the years, simply because enforcement was lacking, and that actually brought a lot of attention in terms of what is the price that we are paying as far as Malaysia is concerned. When you look at taxes, you talk about revenue, you talk about the illicit trade, and you look at about job losses. Yeah, factories are shut down. There are repercussions that come about when you talk about, when the government decided to perhaps raise excise duties way back, starting in 2013 onwards. Yeah. So all this has a significant impact on the tobacco industry, which resulted in significant losses not only for the government, but also for the companies that are involved in the business.
Okay, just let me put a pin in that at the moment. When you say you've used the word illicit and illegal, and I know there are other words like contraband. So actually, can you just now spend another couple of minutes? What is the black market and shadow economy? Because I know that everyone thinks, oh, we're talking about illicit cigarettes or illicit alcohol, but we're not just talking about that. We're also talking about other areas of the black market, which most people may not actually realize, oh, wait a minute, this is inverted commas illegal, although it may not seem illegal. So what is the black market / shadow economy?
Yeah, so if you look at the Malaysian economy as a whole, our economy has a size of about 1.5 trillion ringgit, yeah, for this year. And when you talk about that, is what is the output of the country and captured by data, captured by the Department of Statistics and all that. But at the same time, there's also the other part of the economy which is not captured, yeah, by actual data. And this data, this economy can be both. They could be legal and they could also be illegal. Yeah, legal in the sense that, for example, if I give you an example, if you talk about like a school teacher, yeah, who actually is gainfully employed, let's say earning 3,000 ringgit a month, but at the same time on the side, she gives tuition, for example, all right, and she earns, let's say 500 ringgit a month. But that 500 ringgit, although legally gained, yeah, obtained by providing a service, but that income is not declared to the government. All right, so that is considered legal, yeah, but it's still part of the shadow economy. Then you have the, yeah, then you have the illegal economy. All right, this is again the black economy. That is where things are done on the quiet, you know, underground, illegal, contrabands, prostitution, gambling. Yeah, all those are illegal activities. Of course, they will not surface legally. Yeah, and of course, taxes are also not captured. So going back to the question about how big it is really, statistics have shown that the size of the illegal market in Malaysia or the shadow economy is to extend about 18 to 20% of the overall economy. So if you look at it in terms of size, if the economy is about 1.5 trillion ringgit, 18 to 20% suggests that the size of this shadow economy is to the tune of about 280 to 300 billion ringgit a year in terms of output.
Okay, so let me put that into perspective of the layman. You're saying 18 to 20% of our economy is part of the shadow economy. To everybody who's may not be able to picture that, that is like saying, if you had 5 children at home, 20%, which is one of your children, is not registered, does not have a birth certificate, does not have an IC, and as far as everybody is concerned, is not even really there. It may be a ghost. That's almost like, yeah, because that 20%, that one child out of 5 doesn't register, doesn't exist in the scheme of, or in the flow of what is considered the Malaysian economy family. 20% is 1 out of 5.
Yeah.
So that's basically what you're saying. So in effect, we are missing out, or the country is missing out on 20% of potential. Well, then let's not talk about trillions, because Malaysians, we're only still stuck in billions at the moment. We haven't moved on to the trillion.
Correct.
We're talking about 20% of what could be advantageous to Malaysia not being available to be advantageous to Malaysia.
Yeah, so to answer that question, if you look at it in terms of size, let's go down from the trillion to the billions. All right.
Okay.
So if you say the shadow economy is 300 billion, for example, statistics will tell you that the government generally collects about 11% of the government's revenue taxes. Yeah, 11% of GDP is in the form of tax revenue. Right. So if 300 billion is hidden somewhere and the government is not taxing, all right, effectively the government is losing out in terms of revenue to the government in the form of taxes. It's about 33 billion ringgit. So that's a lot.
That is a lot. Now, yeah, no, that is a lot. But okay, I'm going to be playing layman's here. So
Okay.
from the layman's point of view, it's like, yeah, the government is losing out on 33 billion, but we got taxes. What you already tax me? What I earn 3,000 a month or 5,000 a month. You already tax me. What? So that loss is not felt by me because there's someone else that you are not taxing, but you tax me out of my 3,000 a month or my 5,000 a month. You already tax me. So that loss, from a layman's point of view, that loss is not part of my game because I'm being taxed. So if you lost from that fella, that's his gain, your problem, not my problem. How would you answer that?
I will answer that question very simply. Like in your introduction of your video prior to this show, you mentioned about fake goods, right? Fake goods, we talk about not just handbags, clothing wear, perfumes, liquor, cigarettes. Yeah, all these are items that are readily available in the market. So you, as a consumer, although you may be a taxpayer, for example, right, paying your taxes duly, but at the same time, you in your shopping list is the fake LV bag, the fake shirt, yeah, or perfumes, yeah, or liquor products, yeah. So all those you are actually promoting the shadow economy or peddlers, yeah, or smugglers who make a living out of illegal activities. Yeah, so if you were to continue to do so, you are supporting indirectly the shadow economy. Yeah, so again, it's a question about consumer choice. All right, do you want to consume products that are legal, or do you cut corners and say like, okay, I'm not going to spend 300 ringgit to buy this shirt. Yeah, I'm going to go to Petaling Street and get it for 50 bucks. Right. So those are also fake goods. Yeah. So you are actually
Yeah.
helping the illegal economy.
Now, here's where the dilemma sits, because as far as the average Malaysian is concerned, yala, why would I pay 5,000 ringgit for a fake LV bag or 10,000 ringgit for a fake Rolex watch when I can buy a very good copy for 100 or 200 ringgit, and people see already nice one,
Yeah.
nice one. So as far as I'm concerned, and I'm talking about the average Malaysian, yeah lah. So what? That won't affect me, and some more the roadside vendor also make money ma. I also save money ma. So what's the big deal? What is the
Win-win
big deal?
situation.
Yeah. So
Yeah. Yeah, but
actually, what is
when you do that, you are encouraging the growth of the shadow economy, yeah, which is not captured. The government is not able to tax, all right, because when the government is not able to tax enough, the government ends up borrowing, right? That's what's been happening to Malaysia for the last 20 over years. Tax revenue is insufficient. So the government ends up borrowing. Our debts continue to go up. All right, we are practically living in debt in the first place. Yeah, and the government will continue to find ways. Yeah, to keep taxing you to cover the gap between what is collected and what is being spent. Yeah, so you have an issue. It's a long-term structural problem. If you do not tackle the shadow economy.
exactly? So yeah, to put it simply, in the bigger picture, what you have just said, and if I may um, reiterate, is yes. Um, what most people don't realize is that when something is taxed, that tax money goes back into the system and then goes back to building our roads,
Yeah.
supplying our schools, supplying our hospitals. And then when there's not enough tax money put into those departments, then you complain, ayah, the hospital so teruk, ayah, the school so teruk. Why the government don't spend more money? Well, the government is not spending more money because the government doesn't have more money. Because why does the government not have more money? Because where does the government get money? It's actually from your tax. And all these parts of the shadow economy have been draining the potential tax from the government for them to put back into schools and hospitals and roads and
Correct.
other public service systems. So this, like you say, it's a much bigger picture. But as a layman, it's very, very hard to see this big picture. Now, I just want to put a hypothetical situation with you. Let's talk about uh, okay, yeah, let's talk about cigarettes. So
Ah,
cigarettes, um, I do remember at one time it was 7 ringgit a pack of 20, then it was 9 ringgit at what point, 11 ringgit. Now it's 17 ringgit plus plus. Um, and as my video stated earlier, now Malaysia, we are number one globally in the market of illicit cigarettes, which means 6 out of 10 packets of cigarettes
right.
sold in Malaysia are illegal. Now, yeah, let's take a moment to argue that case in terms of cigarettes, and I will also argue against it, because from one point of view, people say, yeah, so what? Cigarettes are bad for you anyway. But if we just sit on this point for a while,
Yeah.
6 out of every 10 packs of cigarettes sold in Malaysia are illegal. And by illegal, by definition, means against the law. So
Yeah.
6 out of 10 people smoking an illegal cigarette are doing something that is unlawful. Now, so what is the argument for the high price on cigarettes?
Okay, so going back to that question about cigarette or tobacco, for example, there's a long history as to how we came today where we are. Yeah, effectively, of course, if you look globally in terms of measures taken by government to address tobacco smoking, uh, the thinking is that if you were to raise taxes, it will make cigarettes very expensive, and when cigarettes are expensive, people are, discouraged from picking up the habit or continuing the habit. You hope that they will cut down or stop completely. Yeah, and of course, when you raise taxes, cigarette prices will go up. Yeah, and when cigarette prices go up, affordability becomes an issue, right? So when affordability becomes issue, and if enforcement is not strong enough, that's where you see uh, smuggling, yeah, contrabands coming into the market, yeah, the what they call illicit smugglers will bring in the cigarettes because of the price differential. Yeah, you remember you mentioned just now the price of cigarette today is 17 ringgit, but an illegal pack of 20s on average is only costs perhaps about 5 ringgit. Yeah, so the price gap is so huge to the extent there is demand, right? Because of the price differential. But we must also take back in terms of how the numbers actually came about. Yeah, for example, uh, when before the government increased taxes, the excise duties, which was about 220 ringgit per thousand cigarettes in 2013. In the space of just 3 years, the government raised taxes, excise duties, from 220 ringgit per thousand cigarettes to 400 ringgit per thousand cigarettes in just 3 years. So that caused a significant jump in cigarette prices. Yeah, and before this move, um, the incidence or the proportion of illicit in the market was about one third, yeah, about 33%. And in the space of just since 2013 until, let's say, last year, 2020, uh, the illicit cigarette in terms of percentage has gone up to 63%. So there's a 30 percentage point jump in terms of number of cigarettes that are illegal in the market today compared to what they were, let's say, in 2013, 2014. So that's a significant
So
increase because of the hike in excise duties, which has proven, yeah, as far as Malaysia is concerned, it has proven it's not working. You see it happening in other countries, in the UK, in Australia, in Singapore, when cigarette prices are raised, yes, there is some element of illegal cigarettes being smuggled in, but enforcement is strong. So when enforcement is strong, you are able to control, yeah, the demand part of it in terms of, the supply part of it in terms of cigarettes coming in. Yeah. Well, so if people wanted to smoke, they would have to pay just a higher price. Yeah. So in Malaysia case, it didn't happen. Yeah. The objective of raising taxes to tackle prevalence of smoking has not helped. Yeah. It's not well, it's a lost cause, I would say. And I can even tell you in terms of losses to the government, yeah, because of the hike in uh, illicit trade from 33% to 63%, the government has lost 5 billion ringgit in revenue. Yeah, because when these products are sold in the market, taxes are not collected. Yeah. So the government loses out in revenue, and that alone is about 5 billion ringgit today.
Okay, let me just address this comment from Cheng Mun Wai. The actual solution is to stop smoking. If nobody smokes, there will be no smuggling. Now, here's I think what my guest Pankaj was trying to point out just now is that you would think that, oh, if you make the cost of cigarettes higher, people will stop smoking. Well, in Malaysia, what has happened is that people have continued to smoke, but they've just moved to illicit
Illegals.
and illegal cigarettes. And this is due to copying a model from other countries where it happened, but we don't have the same enforcement levels. Now,
Yeah.
just to refer to Cheng Mun Wai, Cheng Mun Wai, let me just tell you something. Uh, yes, ideally, you can say, yeah, just stop smoking.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we're talking about human beings. Cars kill people. You drive a car, you can die. It's dangerous. You can say, yeah, just stop driving. Easier said than done. Um, Everything basically kills people. Carbon emissions kills people. Um, you know, too many bananas. I think if you ate too many bananas, it might kill you as well. So that kind of statement, although is ideological, doesn't really stand because we're talking with human beings and we
Yeah.
all have desires and needs and requirements, and we're talking about modern living here.
Yeah.
So, leaving that argument aside, let's go back to enforcement. Yeah, what do you mean when you say that comparing to, let's say, Australia? Because in Australia, by the way, if I remember correctly, when I was there 3 or 4 years ago, I think I found out that cigarettes was something like 25 Australian, which is like
I think so.
70 or 80 ringgit
Yeah.
per pack.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I guess I don't see too many people smoking in Australia, and I suppose that's also because of a lot of the education in terms of health and you know. But how come? Yes, it can be enforcement is good there, but you're saying that we haven't had the level of strong enforcement that is required to be able to solve this issue.
Yeah. First of all, enforcement requires manpower. Yeah. It requires equipment. It requires actions to be taken constantly. Yeah. To make sure that you are able to contain, yeah, the smuggling activities. So, for example, last year in the budget 2021, the finance minister, the Guzafrul, actually came up with some proposal whereby the government has now designated 5 ports in Malaysia as transshipment for cigarette importation. Yeah. But what happened today is that while that has actually helped to a certain extent to reduce the element or the incidence of cigarettes being smuggled, at the same time, uh, there has been some lack of what do you call enforcement there itself, where although those goods are meant for transshipment, they are actually still being smuggled from these 5 ports. Yeah, so there's still some incidents of goods being smuggled from the ports. At the same time, other than the ports that has been designated. You see, Malaysia, if you look at our coastline, whether it's West Coast, East Coast, Sabah, Sarawak, yeah, our coastal points are rather, there are too many of them, to the extent that it's easy to bring in goods. Yeah, so because you don't have a collective action coming from enforcements, coming from the Navy, using our assets to control our waters. Yeah, so you see these incidents continuing, yeah, to the extent that we cannot control the amount of illicit or smuggled cigarettes that's been coming into the country. So it's a question about having the right budget, for example, in terms of making sure you can actually control your borders, having the manpower, having the equipment, yeah, and of course, I mean, I've not gone talking about corruption because that's another thing, yeah.
Okay, let's talk about that then.
Yeah.
So, is it because of corruption that this black market is difficult to eradicate?
It's a known fact, yeah, quote unquote, it's a known fact. That is the reason why we see that smuggling activities continue to be carried out. You see incidents, for example, I've been told stories, yeah, I can't quote anyone here, but I've been told stories like this, where, for example, a container comes in, right, and is declared as something else, right, but inside is cigarettes, all right. Or at the time when the containers are being scanned, yeah, before they come into the country, the machine spoil. Yeah, so you have a situation where, yeah, all these things happen at the right time, yeah, and goods are easily being brought in to a certain extent.
I know how that feels. Sometimes when I really need the ATM machine and I go to the machine spoil. It's like it's 11:59 at night, and machine spoil. How?
Yeah.
I'm
So
sure
this is the
all,
thing. So
yeah.
enforcement is key. Yeah, and I think in our report when we publish this report called "Winning the War on Tobacco Black Market," we actually pinpointed out that enforcement is one of the key in tackling the illicit cigarette market.
Okay, so here's I want to move into this topic right now, into this area which I spoke about in that video that you mentioned played just before my show. Here is my concern. When we read about the record that we hold to be the #1 illicit cigarette distributor, per capita, this is for me, it damages our image as Malaysian,
Definitely.
as Malaysia, because I can just imagine overseas when you talk about India, you go, oh, Bollywood, that is the image. When you talk about Korea, you go, oh, K-pop, that is the image. When you talk about Australia, it's G'day mate, put a shrimp on the barbie. When you talk about New Zealand, it's like, oh, Lord of the Rings was shot there and they got beautiful scenery. When you talk about Malaysia, I wouldn't want the world having perception that, oh, yeah, illicit cigarettes, illicit goods, illegal goods. The damage done to the perception, the image of a country, our country, is, to me, potentially a far worse damage. Take away, I'm just not discounting the tax revenue loss, but just the image of a country. I think that's doing a lot of damage as well. I mean, do your statistics? I don't know whether you've done any statistic on that. What do you perceive as that kind of damage done to this country?
You are right, Harit. If you look at the Transparency International, which basically ranks about 180 countries in the world in terms of corruption perception, Malaysia is ranked number 57 today. Right, we actually improved to about number 51 from 61 after the GE 14, but then we fell back again, to number 57. So that shows you where we are in terms of perception as far as corruption is concerned. And when an investor For example, when you look at the government talking about attracting foreign direct investments, FDIs, one of the things that investors look at, what is the level of corruption in a particular country? And so for Malaysia, if we are ranked number 57, right, you can imagine where we stand in the eyes of the world when you talk about, foreigners who wants to invest in the country. And that's one of the reasons why, in fact, if you look at in the tobacco industry, yeah, all the major players were actually MNCs, multinational corporations. They had factories in Malaysia. They employed Malaysians, yeah, to be in the factory to run the factories and to produce the cigarettes and all that. Yeah, but because of the rampant uh, amount in terms of illicit trade that's been going on, they realized that it's not fundamentally right anymore to be in Malaysia. Right? They decided to close shop. They left. Right? So they decided to close their factories, lay off workers. Yeah. So if you have a situation where your corruption perception index cannot be improved, all right, or not going in the right direction, right, you will have problem in attracting investments in the future. Right. So we need to address this issue related to corruption.
On that point, I think I'm looking at the comments from a lot of viewers. Guys, by the way, thank you so much for commenting. I really am paying attention to that. And let's be frank. Oh, everyone in the comment section, a lot of people are saying, "Oh yeah, government corrupt this, government corrupt that, politician corrupt this, politician corrupt that." Now it's easy to say that,
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, if you purchase anything that may be illicit or illegal, and we're not talking about things that are $1 million or going to your pocket or 100,000 or not even 1,000 ringgit. If you purchase anything or if you pay for something that is not taxed, at the end of the day, you are participating in a certain level of corruption. Would you say that, Pankaj?
Yes, I would say that because you are actually helping those in the shadow economy, all right, who are part of the system, all right, the whole ecosystem, where they are actually importing the goods. When they import goods, they have to make sure they have covered their tracks, yeah, in terms of how it's done. Yeah, so effectively, as a consumer, if you are buying these goods, you are actually helping them to corrupt the officials. Simple as that.
Yeah. So I just thank you for making that point. I also wanted to make the point because sometimes as human beings we get very
Yeah,
on our high horse. It's like
correct,
that is
correct.
corruption, that is corruption, that oh no, but not me, but not me, but not me, because my one little bit only, my one little bit only. But if you want to sit on a high horse and point fingers at everyone, before you can do that, you need to look at yourself first and
Yeah,
go,
correct.
how clean am I before I throw rocks at glass houses, so to speak. I
Yeah,
mean, I will admit, I am no angel. I have uh, gone to a cheap flea market and seen something and wondered to myself, oh, that's really cheap, or shall I pick that up? But
yeah,
yeah, we don't think of that in the bigger picture on how
yeah,
it supports
yeah,
corruption on the other end as well.
yeah,
Now, Pankaj, from a economist point of view, once again,
yeah.
I almost stumbled over that word. Someone asked earlier, I saw in a question, yeah, you throw around the word 300 billion in shadow economy. How you got these numbers? If you can't uh, record the number, how do people get this number in the first place? Like, yeah, actually, how do you record something that is unrecordable?
Well, it's a way of calculation. In terms, like for example, in the tobacco industry, you can actually calculate. You can work backwards and figure out what is the size. All right,
Take,
and
take
even
a take a moment to explain that.
yeah, okay. So, for example, I mentioned just now about the illicit trade. Yeah, for tobacco, for example, the government loses about 5 billion ringgit in taxes. Yeah, both in excise duties and income tax that's paid. And the way to look at it is very simple because taxes as a percentage of revenue for tobacco companies is about 60%. all right? And because of the illegal market, which controls about, let's say, about 60% of the market, and illicit is about 60%, and the legal market is 40%, you very well know what is the legal market size. Yeah, so from there you can calculate what is the illegal market size. Yeah, and our report actually has for the first time pinpointed out that the size of the illicit market for tobacco industry in Malaysia is about 8 billion ringgit. And so that's just tobacco alone. 8 billion ringgit, the size of the illicit market. And
Okay.
yeah, so that's just for tobacco. And if you look at other industry, the liquor industry will tell you what it is. You know, your empat number echo, your 4 digit, that is a big market. Illegal 4Ds, some say it's worth about 10 billion.
Oh yeah. Okay. Now I don't buy 4D
Yeah, I know, but
because
I'm just
but,
giving an
can you
example.
explain to me how that works?
Well, I
What
don't
is
have the
illegal
data.
4D?
Yeah, illegal. Yeah, okay. So what they do, of course, you know the legal ones, whether it's Magnum, Toto, or Damachai. The illegal ones, they write on the legal numbers that comes out every draw day. Yeah, but instead of you going to the legal betting joints to buy the tickets, you go through some illegal peddlers, yeah, who will take your orders, yeah, in terms of your numbers that you want to buy. Yeah, of course the guarantee here is that while the legal operators ensures they pay you what they promise you, the illegal ones may not, you never know. But they thrive in the industry, yeah, in terms of uh, what they offer to the public in terms of 4D.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah,
Okay, let me ask you this. Perception wise, I remember distinctly growing up
yeah,
that the idea was, oh, whenever you go to Bangkok for shopping, you could always buy uh, inverted commas fake, fake goods,
yeah,
fake
yeah,
designer goods. That was the perception that was the go-to place to
yeah,
get, you
yeah.
know, fake designer goods, even to this day, I guess. So, moving away from Malaysia, so is Thailand equally affected, and how come Thailand is not number one in illicit cigarette, illicit production of illicit sale of cigarettes?
Well, I think
How
it's
come?
again a question about the price point differential between the legal and illegal market. Yeah, so perhaps in Thailand, the price differential is not that great. Yeah, so in that sense, the legal market is still a very strong market compared to Malaysia. In Malaysia's case, the price differential is too much. And you know, Harit, yeah, typically smokers are the B40 group, blue collar workers, and for them, their income is not much. Yeah, and when you raise prices to the extent it's 17 ringgit per pack, assuming someone smokes, let's just say 20 packs a month, that's already 340 ringgit out of the pocket. Yeah, and if you earn 1,500 ringgit a month, that's 20% of your salary.
Yeah,
So you
that
can
that
see the
yeah.
issue about affordability kicks in for Malaysia, yeah, because prices are too high.
Okay, speaking about prices are too high, Tengku Zafrul, our Minister of Finance, recently said in Parliament, I think we have the article here. Isaac, my team, if you can bring up that article right now. Tengku Zafrul said in Parliament, addressing, so he the Finance Ministry wanted to introduce ways to disincentivize Malaysia's shadow economy. And among the ways that he was proposing, if you could scroll up right now to that paragraph that I had referred to earlier, and I'm going to read it out for those of you who are listening on a podcast. Scroll up just a little bit more. So, how is Malaysia fighting the shadow economy? In this article, while Tengku Zafrul did not provide details about the measures his ministry is taking to fight the shadow economy, he did mention in relation to reviewing the scope of tax. Now, the Malaysian chapter of the Retail and Trade Brands Advocacy, the RBTA, earlier proposed 4 suggestions to the government on how this can be done. Increase funding to relevant enforcement agencies, which is what, Pankaj, you had talked about earlier. Reviewing the price mechanism and excise structures, and let's talk about that. Establishing funding for multi-agency and multinational task force dedicated to combating the black market, i.e. enforcement, and creating an anti-black market fund to encourage whistleblowers. So reviewing the scope of tax. Yeah, so people are just going to say, hey, yeah, what would the backlash be if the government had raised the prices of cigarettes to, due to tax, and now suddenly taking it down? Of course, most people, including myself, I'll have to admit, like, hey, that means are you encouraging people to smoke? How would the economists answer to that?
I will answer that question very simply, 2 ways. One, over the years, if you have seen, the government have raised excise duty, causing prices to go up, but the prevalence of smoking has not reduced. It's about the same. That's one thing. Yeah. So, and at the same time, you also saw government lost revenue to the extent about 5 billion ringgit in terms of total taxes. And because of that, you are also seeing the repercussions to the tobacco industry to the extent plants are being closed, workers are being laid off, yeah, and the chain reactions to all that. So the issue here, if you know, over the last 5 to 7 years, when you have raised taxes and yet the prevalence of smoking has not come down, do you think raising taxes is going to help still? I don't think so. Right? So that is not the answer. Tax is not the answer. Right? So in fact, the government either should have a tax moratorium, that means no more increase, or look at ways to try to close the price gap, which means that, well, I know a lot of people will say, Pankaj, are you mad? Are you suggesting that the government reduce excise duties? I say, yes, why not? Because if you look at statistics, it tells you every time the government raise excise duty by 10 percentage point, all right, the government loses 250 million in terms of revenue, in terms of tax collection, all right, and the incidence of illicit cigarettes in the market will go up by 2 percentage point. So if you were to do the reverse, yeah, let's say you bring down the taxes by about 10%, for example, or 20%. You close the gap between what is legal and illegal. All right, there is less motivation for the illicit peddlers, yeah, to continue to carry out their business. So that's one. The other thing that I
Okay.
wanted to answer to that question in terms of tobacco, well, Malaysia, or in fact globally, yeah, one of the things that has been happening, it's the rise of e-cigarettes. I'm sure you're aware of that. Vaping,
Yeah.
yeah. And Malaysia too actually have seen a significant increase here in terms of vaping population. Malaysia's vaping population today is about 5%, yeah, about 1.1 or 1.2 million Malaysians who vape. But sadly, the e-liquid that is being used for vaping products, there's no tax to it. All right. The only tax that's been imposed today, which was announced in the last budget, was tax on the non-nicotine based vaping e-liquid. But there is no tax on nicotine based e-liquids. Right? So that has created a non-level playing field. Yeah, which means that the government is not taxing enough, first of all, and it's taxing the wrong market because nicotine-based vaping e-liquids is about 95-97% of the market. Yeah, whereas the non-nicotine one is only about 3 or 5%. So the government can actually enhance its revenue by introducing taxes, yeah, for vaping products, nicotine-based e-liquids. That's one thing. Okay. And the other thing I would also suggest which I think a lot of people are talking about this today, is about regulation. Right? Malaysia does not have regulation related to e-cigarettes or vaping, which is kind of sad, yeah, because that industry is actually growing. That industry has a tremendous growth potential. Malaysia's vaping e-liquids have been recognized worldwide, and it has been even
True.
exported out. Yeah, so we should encourage our industries who have developed to a certain extent in terms of size, and I foresee that the market players who are in this industry today can grow. I mean, the market is seen to be about worth about 2.2 billion today, but in the next 3 to 5 years, this market will just grow as far as vaping is concerned. Because
Yes.
if you look at a lot of studies being done, whether it's in the UK or in Australia, in US, there is evidence to show that vaping actually helps smokers to kick the habit. So if you want to reduce tobacco smokers in this country, you should introduce regulation related to vaping. Yeah. And at the same time, impose taxes on nicotine based e liquids as well.
This whole argument about vape versus cigarettes, and
Yeah.
I totally get it. I totally understand the for and against.
Mm.
But I think what most people don't actually realize is, yeah, you hear the word taxes, and of course, taxes is a very negative word to the taxpayer.
Yeah.
Oh, taxes.
Yeah.
You're going to get taxed. Is the idea that the money is going to be taken out of my pocket for other people's use, including myself. But I think what we need to focus on a little bit more is, yes, desensitize the idea of taxes, and to actually realize that the the weight that we are taking on, the burden we are taking on by things that are not taxed,
Mm.
i.e., crime, damage made, as well as to reputation, and not to mention health as well, because
Yeah.
not non-legal products are generally usually more unhealthy than legal
Correct.
products.
Correct.
So, it's very hard to focus on the damage that is done because we don't see the damage that is
Mm.
created. And the only way we can see it is through the lack of tax.
Yeah.
Um, here's what I want to ask just before we end this program. In the bigger picture, will we ever solve this problem of illicit or illegal trading in every type of good, from cigarettes to designer goods, to just home appliances, to everything that is created or traded illicitly or illegally? Will it ever end? Can we ever
Well,
put a
it
stop
will
to
it
it?
will never end. Yeah. But what we can do is to make efforts to control. Yeah. In terms of enforcement, in terms of regulation, in terms of taking action, in terms of making sure our borders are well protected. Yeah. Or even, I mean, I have suggested this as well. For example, some of these goods that are being sold at the retail point, the point of sale, right? Why don't we confiscate all these goods that are being sold if they are illegal? Why do we allow the traders to sell them in the first place? Right? So that's again a question about enforcement. Yeah. So where is our focus really in terms of what we want to do to clean up in terms of how much we are seeing today in terms of counterfeit goods, in terms of products that are illegal. Yeah. Because there is also concern if you look at it in the bigger picture, the issue about safety and security. Yeah. Because some products, because they are illegal, there is no control in terms of what's inside the product. Right? I'm sure you have seen in some cases, in fact, even recently, some guys who consume liquor and suddenly, all of them dead. Yeah. So because there's no control. Yeah. You don't know what's inside it.
Yeah.
And so it's very dangerous, yeah, when you allow illicit products, to continue to expand in the market like this. And so the government needs to think hard to have greater scrutiny in terms of how enforcement is done, actions being taken, and using the law. We have all the law, but how much of the law are we using? Yeah, to tackle incidents of smuggling activities, corruption, yeah, related to enforcement. So all these are very important. It has to come hand in hand.
I'm totally with you on that. Everything has to come hand in hand. And at the end of the day, um, it's very easy to go, yes, the government is corrupt. Yes, the politicians are corrupt. Yes, the enforcement is corrupt. It's very easy to do that.
Yeah,
But if you yourself have ever participated in any form of cash in hand, non taxable trade, you have added to and participated in shadow economy,
yeah.
which goes hand in hand, as you mentioned earlier, to the black market. So thank you so much, Pankaj, for giving us a very black and white point of view about how this all goes down. And I really appreciate that. And I really believe that, if you can see the big picture, then it makes complete sense. But I believe that people need to also see how they can take
Can help.
responsibility
Yeah.
can help, can add to or not add to the continuing black market. Thank you again
I
for
have one
giving
more
us
point I
this.
wanted to actually
Oh,
point out.
please, yes,
Yeah,
please do.
last point before we say the night. Yeah, uh, I mentioned a lot about excise duties. Yeah, and of course we talk about price gaps. Two things here. One
Yeah,
is actually our income level. Malaysia has actually a structural issue related to how much we pay our people. Our minimum wages are too low. Right? We need to raise our wages. Yeah, to make sure people can afford. Yeah, so that's one. Secondly, when you talk about tobacco products, for example, excise duties is not working. So either you stop raising excise duties, right? Basically a moratorium as far as excise duties are concerned, or you bring them down. Yeah, because it will benefit the country as a whole and the government as well to collect more revenue. So that's what I
two
want to do.
two very good points. We have a minimum salary that is way too low,
Yeah.
and excise duties in the current stage is that has been proven that it doesn't work. Thank you so much,
Thank you, Harit.
economist analyst Pankaj Kumar, for being on our show. You've got an article, a weekly article, is it, or
Yes, in
bi-weekly
Star. Yeah,
in
in
the
Star.
Star?
Yeah.
And you talk about economic matters there as well.
Yeah, economic, stock market, finance. Yeah.
Great. So everybody, please pick up a copy of the Star or follow the Star online to catch more of Pankaj and his very knowledgeable opinions on the economy. Thank you again very much, sir. And I do wish you all the best and be
Thank you,
safe.
Harit.
And thank you
Thank
for
you, ladies and
spending.
gentlemen, for having me or listening to my talk today with Harit.
Thank you so much. And we hope to catch up with you soon. You take care, sir.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good night. All right. So there we are. There we are. Pankaj Kumar on his economical and analytical point of view on the black market. Here's my takeaway from the show. I don't really understand the economics of it. I have a general idea, but there seem to be too many dominoes that need to be connected for you to truly understand why participating in the shadow economy will not just hurt you, but hurt the country. I have a very simple point of view. We need to watch out about how Malaysia is perceived and how Malaysia is seen globally. And this is because we do not exist as a country on our own. We exist on foreign investments, we exist on imports and exports, we exist on tourism, and basically our country has taken a hit in the last couple of years due to the pandemic, and we have been The government has been very good in giving out all types of packages in the Panjana to help, the different groups of categories of communities who have needed help. But at the same time, we also need to help ourselves in rebuilding this country. And that is what my interest is in. Now, I know a lot of people out there in the comments, I have been reading the comments. You guys are saying, yeah, the taxes are too high. This is all the government's fault. This is all in enforcement fault. Yes, we can talk about that. I'm not saying those point of views are not valid, but we also need to look at ourselves. How can I, as an individual, make that difference? And you may think that, oh, I'm too small a fish. I can't really make that much of a difference. You know what? You can. You can. Please go and check out my video on the black market and shadow economy. It's on Facebook and also on Instagram, and I'll be putting up on YouTube, where I talk about the perception, how we, you, me, everyone out there wants our beautiful country to be seen. Do we want to be seen as a country of good, honest, hard-working individuals and people, or do we want to be seen as a country that only deals in and is champion in dealing in illicit and illegal products? Guys, I do the show What's Going On Malaysia because basically that's a question that I'm looking for an answer to. What's going on Malaysia? Everyone has been talking about the Pandora box, the elephant in the room. You know what? I'm going to do a little bit more study and maybe jump into that topic. Thank you so much for suggesting the topics. I really do try and pay attention to all the DMs I've been receiving, all the comments that you have been giving, and all the ideas and suggestions that you've been giving. And I am reaching out to a lot of the people that you have been asking me to interview, not just because you've asked me, because I also want to talk to them as well. Thank you so much, Benjamin CYK. Nice topic for tonight. What's going on in Malaysia? I appreciate that. I appreciate all the kind comments. I appreciate all the kutuk pun. I do appreciate all the kutuk. Guys, my name is Harith Iskandar. I am Malaysian, and I know a lot of you out there are Malaysian too, and you watch from all over the world, and you listen from all over the world. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you so much for sharing. You have no idea how much it means to me when you share this Facebook or this YouTube or this podcast with your friends, just to let them know that there's a conversation going on here. You might want to hear it. And on that note, I want to say thank you once again. I want to acknowledge and appreciate everyone. It's October. I hear the borders are going to be opening soon. Fingers crossed. At the same time, please remember to look after yourself, look after your family, look after your community, jaga SOP, as they say. And it is an endemic out there, but life needs to go on. With that, thank you so much for being part of the show. Thank you so much for commenting. And thank you so much for being in this space on What's Going On Malaysia. I'll see you guys real soon with my next guest, who is, follow me, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, everywhere and anywhere to find out who the next guest is. You're going to like this person. I'll see you guys real soon. Take care. Good night. Assalamualaikum.